Don't be fooled by Season 2's finale. Lute is far from being done with her quest for revenge. So, let's unpack things, shall we? Unlike Vaggie, who's out for love, Lute is out for blood, and she won't stop until she makes hell pay for what they took away from her, even if she ends up forsaking herself in the process. The song Gravity undeniably packs a punch, but what's truly brilliant about it is just how cleverly it conveys the tragic nuance of Lute's sinister quest to avenge Adam no matter what. To be quite honest, Adam wasn't exactly a role model by any means, but he was the only one keeping Lute in check. Now that he's gone, her mental health is deteriorating at an alarming rate, and if her hallucinations are anything to go by, it's only a matter of time until she reaches the point of no return. Not only did Lute lose the one whom she cherished the most, but she also lost her new status as a commander by getting demoted without warning, which ultimately made her lose the only upper hand she still held against Hell. To make matters worse, only 1 month had passed since Adam's death, so Lute didn't really have enough time to fully process her grief and the suffocating guilt that she felt from failing to protect him. If we take a closer look at her erratic behavior from the trial, I'd say it was quite clearly a desperate cry for help from Lute, but Heaven completely failed to notice or provide her with any adequate support when she needed it the most. So much for angels never making mistakes, right, Lute? It's just sad to think that her descent into madness could have been prevented under the right circumstances. In the end, it seems like heaven isn't that much of a paradise for the ones who manage to slip through its cracks. Lute is far from being innocent for her sins, but the fact that she had no shoulder to cry on, even at her lowest point, really highlights heaven's systematic failures to protect their own kind. This is just one of many examples of them turning a blind eye to the inconvenient truths regarding the increasingly fragile facade of their so-called utopia. Now, by further breaking down her own mental breakdown, it's quite evident that she feels all alone and she doesn't have anyone to confide in anymore, so she speaks to the only one who's ever truly listened to what she had to say, Adam. It's a tragic coping mechanism, but it's her way of shielding herself from the unbearable pain of her loss. From her point of view, Heaven has simply moved on from Adam's death, and no one seems to care about her grievances and justified fears regarding Hell's inevitable retribution. She doesn't have time for tears though, as she reminds herself of the holy mission that Adam entrusted her with. Notice how she clings to his halo, only to end up in his room not too long afterwards? It's almost as if a gravitational pull keeps bringing her back there over and over again, only for her to be devastated by the emptiness that awaits her within those walls. With her deepest regrets quite literally haunting her in the form of Adam's manifestation, she officially reaches her breaking point and clings to the only thing she has left anymore, her rage and bloodlust against demonkind. The voices inside her head begin to echo her true intentions, and they take the form of an epic Gregorian chant that's sung in Latin. Things start off with followed up by, which together can be interpreted as Holy Lord or Holy Master, showcasing her unwavering devotion and admiration for Adam, almost as if he were a god himself. Also, historically, Sanctus and Dominus can be found in various ancient religious songs that are typically known as hymns, which further highlights just how much Lute worships her one and only true idol, Adam. Then we have, which means fire, and stands for revenge. To appropriately cap things off, the song ends with the word, which, you guessed it, means gravity. Although, we're not quite done yet. Let's rewind and see what Lute has to say as well. I'm not going to be doing a line-by-line analysis of the lyrics. Instead of that, I want to take a closer look at her own words and how the visuals cleverly mirror the way Lute truly feels on the inside. Notice how the room has massive windows and brightly lit areas all around, yet Lute constantly finds herself in the shadows? This is very intentional framing. Adam also likes to lurk in the dark, but he has a golden glow surrounding him, and that also applies to his halo, which Lute now uses as a bracelet. Adam was the true light of her life, and he was the only one who could guide her away from her darkest thoughts. When she thinks about her love for him, she briefly gets pulled out from that dark place, but the moment he pulls away, the darkness engulfs her once again. Even when a new light source gets introduced, it only further amplifies how she's become nothing more than a big shadow of her former self. Those aren't the only cool visual details though. Did you notice the looming clouds that pop up right before the song starts? Lute does mention that a storm is coming, but there's more to it than you'd think. The storm can be seen as the inevitability of her upcoming vengeance, just like raindrops that pour down due to gravity itself. But at the same time, the storm is very much a reflection of her clouded state of mind. When she says the flood is coming, it's a literal callback to the biblical tragedy of epic proportions from long ago, and it represents her desire for the complete and utter annihilation of hellkind. But also, it showcases how she's currently drowning in the darkest depths of her soul, with no way out. The line, "No run-in's gonna save you now," is quite tragic, because it isn't just her enemies who are doomed. Lute knows that walking down this path will lead to her inevitable downfall as well, but she can't stop herself from what's to come. She sees herself as someone who can't go back anymore, with her rage being in a terminal stage, just like an incurable disease. Gravity as a song not only represents the gravity of her upcoming actions, but also the gravitational pull of her grief, dragging her down on a self-destructive path that will potentially have disastrous consequences for both heaven and hell. It's a foreboding reminder of just how much loss can shape us, for better or worse, depending on the support that's available to us after the fact. If we contrast things with Vaggie and how she processed the pain of losing her place in the world, we get to see just how much of a difference it makes to have the right people around you when you're at your lowest point. When Vaggie lost her reason to be, she embraced her newfound love for Charlie in order to survive and heal those inner wounds. Whenever she fights, it's out of her love for Charlie, and she only wields her blade in order to protect, rather than destroy. Vaggie embraced her true self by reclaiming her name from Adam, to showcase that she won't be controlled by his toxic teachings anymore. She's truly free to live her life as she pleases, and she'll never go back to such destructive ways. It's kind of ironic how Vaggie had adequate support in hell of all places, while heaven failed to provide the same thing for Lute. Lute's own situation is more or less the complete opposite of Vaggie's. Her bloodlust is the only thing that she has left, and it's what drives her forward. Since she can't cope with her pain, she clings to her memories of Adam and obsesses over his every word. She doubles down on concepts like an eye for an eye because she sees herself as a holy warrior who needs to purge the world of its evils. The moment she tries to step outside of Adam's shadow by becoming the commander of the exorcists, she gets put right back into the box of being nothing more, nothing less than just Lute, the lieutenant. Not only did her superiors in heaven clip her wings, but they also pushed her away instead of trying to be there for her during the most difficult time of her life. I want to make it very clear that Lute's atrocities against hell are by no means justifiable, but it's not like she's been given a new role or purpose in heaven, plus she can't really go anywhere else. At the end of the day, she's still a citizen of heaven, and her intent above all else is to fulfill her duty as a protector of that holy land, which is also her home. She's in an awkward position where she can't really progress in one direction or another, so she has no choice but to slowly simmer, and sooner or later, she will reach her boiling point. Her desperation and mental instability make her a dangerous wildcard who's waiting to strike when everyone expects it the least. Lute's first attempt to finish things, in her own twisted way, almost ended in a calamity. The only thing that truly stopped her was her own deeply rooted conditioning from Adam. The moment she got reminded of his demeaning words against her, she submitted without question. One thing is clear though, Vaggie and Charlie are still very much in danger, as Lute hasn't given up quite yet. It's not a matter of if, but only a matter of when she will strike again. There's more to be said about Lute's character, but I'll save that for a future video where Sera also gets to be in the spotlight. By the way, if you enjoyed Jessica Vosk's absolute storm of a performance from Gravity, then I'd highly recommend checking out one of her other songs, which is fittingly called Into the Storm. Trust me, you won't regret it. Also, more Hazbin videos are coming as well, but until then, you can check out some of my Hell of a Boss analysis vids if you wish.